向かってくるのか、逃げずにこのディオに近づいてくるのか。
近づかなきゃてめえをぶちのめせないんでな。
ほほう、では十分近づくがよい。
The Comrade Medium 1 is a tier 9 Russian cruiser which gets a special place in the game, as one of the only significant high tier Russian ship that is not actually fake. But the fact that it is an actual ship, which admittedly does nothing in real life anyway, and wasn't even built by the Russian, means it gets the opposite treatment when it comes to balancing. The fake ships has their unique quirk as either being incredibly tanky or incredibly accurate, sometimes even both, yet the trash can has neither of them. You get a ship that looked like a soap bar, having a big profile and sits very high on the water. It becomes a hazard against anyone in its vicinity. It is such an incredibly annoying ship, not only for handicapping the players, but also being a major headache to the enemy team when played correctly. And I want you to play this ship correctly because it is a Russian ship and it should not have any excuse of being bad despite coming from another mother. To play the trash can, you must first acknowledge the fact that cap circles are absolute cancer and must be avoided at all cost because you have stupid high concealment that allows some cruiser to spot you in return, which can be a good thing because you want to surprise people who put so much confidence in their concealment it made them regret for overextending. What you should be doing for most of the time is shooting anything in your range while sailing away from both the enemy and your team. You put yourself outside of the engagement zone as far as possible and avoid going to the inside or even the middle of the map. You want to force the enemy to turn their turrets and shoot you back. By being the closest ship they can shoot while still far enough to dodge their shots, you have a higher chance to distract the enemy and provide your team with free targets. Since you won't be spotting the enemy DD, your main target should be cruisers because there are just too many of them lately and not a lot of DD. Thank the carriers and Italian cruisers for that reason. This is why you should take IFAG, because it can taunt the enemy by showing them how serious you are at devoting this much points into a skill, which also allows you to whittle down bottom tier BB. To effectively pull successful dodge, you pay attention to your shooter, especially his guns, and be ready to react the moment you see the muzzle flash. If he shoot further to the edge of your screen, you slam on the brake. If he shoot closer to the middle of your screen, you speed up the ship. If he's not shooting at you, then you are probably not shooting at him. So shoot him and stop being a passive selfish bastard because it is the only way to perform decently on this ship. You do not stay behind your teammates. You do not camp island. You do not stop shooting and dodging until the flank is won. Then you can safely take the cap or push filthy Germans back to Berlin. But always remember that you are not a DD hunter and you shouldn't be fighting DD on this early part of the game, especially if it's a French one, as you will lose a gunfight against it because French bias are oddly acceptable in this game. And you definitely want to stay away from islands, as it may hide sneaky cruisers that will make short work of your big bloaty hull, and that is why you want to get rid of them early on. As for enemy BB, all you do is set them on fire. and loading AP when they show broadside, you have nothing to worry against them anyway, even if you got hit by massive AP. Because unlike its neglected brother, the trash can get the arbitrary immunity against BB penetration, making it the better pick overall, not counting the other advantages it has, such as better handling, torpedoes, range, and concealment. All of this, just to get some fancy plating. But why risk taking massive damage in the first place? Your first half of the game should be farming damage to secure your PR. After that you can get closer to the middle. Now your task is to herd enemy ships to places they don't want to be. Once again you want to be nowhere near the enemy or your team, which is essentially all the empty spots on the map. You can do this because you have lots of range, so don't forget to take AFT. I would suggest reducing the binocular zoom by 1 notch, so you can lead better over distance. You want every shell to count. The only ship that can definitely screw you up are unsurprisingly carriers, and since you are such a big target they won't think twice to take you down. So you play extra safe when you get a carrier match, and bait them to your AA ships. Again you can do this because you have the superior range. If you screw up your HP, just get back to farming damage from range and hope the enemy melt faster. But if you still have your HP intact, and have already seen the outcome of the battle, you can be more aggressive by approaching the enemy, preferably BB, and just boss around them however you like. Because again they cannot kill you fast enough, except if it's a secondaries BB. You avoid them like how Russian Navy avoid the ocean. Don't forget that you have decent torpedoes that can catch people by surprise with its low detection, and has enough alpha to finish off anything. Just make sure you can decisively know the outcome. This is how you play the pasta cruiser, but not really. First you upgrade the range module, then the main battery, and finally the hull. You can skip torpedoes if you want. As for the skills, you take preventative maintenance, last stand, superintendent, and advanced firing training. Once you get another 4-point skill, take IFAG, and forget about concealment expert. You can then take survivability expert, or basic firing training. If you're confident enough with stock HP, then use the last 2 skills on adrenaline rush. For the upgrades you want MBM 1, propulsion, aiming system 1, propulsion 2, concealment expert for extra dispersion nerf, and finally MBM 3. Don't forget to use repair instead of smoke. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you just watched a guide on how to play French destroyers. Because this whole Russian gunboat line is basically wargaming paying you lip service, that Russian bias isn't real, by releasing a new line that are, essentially, straight upgrades, with faster speed, bigger guns, even faster torpedoes, and most of all, the completely arbitrary gimmicks. However, they are not a Russian ship. So you can hope that in the future, there will be a cycle to restore balance and make this entire line appealing again. But in any case, the trash can is the perfect ship for you to learn the art of being annoying, being the underdog, and being forgotten. This is a ship that trains their captains to have consistency and influence. Even if your team are filled with custom users, the trash can just doesn't care about it. Now go out there and be an annoying soap bar that can also shrug off torpedoes.